I hope. Bad podcast etiquette. I gotta mute that.
Well, as long as it's you and not us.
As long as it made it on the live.
Yeah.
That was literally the live starting when my phone was like, "Hey, there's a podcast. Did you know about it?"
Utter disdain for the listeners.
I care as much about the listeners as the guys that do international. Pardon me, the guys that used to do international liberty or GAF.
Ooh.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I don't know. The bar is pretty high.
Hello to all you Patriot.
Let me turn on my loudest fan.
Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 172 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on February 25th, 2019.
My name is Ian. I'm a sport shooter, reloader, hobby farmer, and the token Westerner on the panel.
I'm Gavin, and for the longtime listeners of the show, I have recently officially fixed myself, and I'm no longer wrong.
Speaking of being wrong, I'm a liberal Tim. First and foremost, I'm a liberal, but I'm also a husband and father of 3, and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants who might possibly have been liberal.
Oh, is that me? I guess that's my turn. Sorry. I'm Andrew. I'm distracted, but I'm also a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at CanadianCodPastPatriot.com.
No, not CanadianCodPeace.com. That's a totally different website.
Yes, don't go to CanadianCodPeace.com unless you're liberal. Version of the show is available at Stitcher or iTunes, and on to Gavin.
Yeah, you can check the podcast out on Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and our Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help. To support the show, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Sure you're not a communist? Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
All right, let's do What Are We Drinking? Every week, What Are We Drinking is brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. And that takes us to What Are We Drinking? As always, on my screen, from left to right, we're going to start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Tito's and Kool-Aid again.
You are a classy person.
I try to be.
Ian, what are you drinking?
Once again, Venezuelan rum, neat, just straight as it comes. Like I mentioned, burns your throat like tear gas in a bread riot, but better aftertaste.
It's good. I like it. Tim, welcome back. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm Liberal Tim, and I'm drinking Rickard's Red because I like everything to be red, including my beer, my government, and my asshole.
That got really graphic really quickly. Okay, good to know. I'm glad you're back on the panel. I listened to that last week's show. You were a quality panelist as always.
Thanks.
I think you meant philosophically from the excess taxation or something, right? Is that
yes, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what you meant, yeah.
Sure.
It turns out our intern says that Canadian Codpiece is available if anyone wants to.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Okay,
really,
I'm kind of curious what that even is.
Yeah.
A cod piece. So that's like the old term.
No, I know what a cod piece is. I'm not sure what makes it Canadian.
Well, maybe there's a big maple leaf on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Canadian Patriot. Yeah. Canadian Patriot Podcast. Canadian Patriot Podcast is also brought to you by Gunderson's Cream Corn. You've tried the breast. Now try the creamiest Try Gunderson's cream corn.
You maybe get like maple syrup scented cod piece. I don't know.
Well, and they're fleece lined for the winter. They come in that red and black plaid.
That's Canadian. That's pretty Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a thing I don't remember now. I think we were talking about yeah, Canadian things. That's what it was that triggered that. The old intro is back. So if you listened to last week's show, I found an old intro that we cut together after like the first 5 or 6 episodes, and we had some good drops. So the old intro is back, slightly recut. Turns out that it wasn't lost to the internets forever. It was just buried on a different place in my NAS that I didn't know exist.
Doesn't it have a drop from Sean on there from Spath Tactical or something like that?
It did have a drop from Sean, and Sean is back in the intro.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're
Explain
back
to
to the
explain
old
to the
intro.
folks at home what a NAS is.
No.
Okay.
Tune in next week to Canadian Computer Podcast, where I explain my home network to people.
Yeah.
But also, that's not a thing.
That's a 2-hour special.
Yeah.
It really should be. Ooh,
Yeah.
I wonder if I should print that out for my interview tomorrow too. Anyway.
Yeah. And then after that will be our 2.5-hour special on pants.
Yeah, we've definitely. If you enjoyed us being autistic about pants, you will love when I'm autistic about networking. It's like a thing I do professionally, and to an embarrassing degree, my house is wired. Like embarrassing for normal people, not for me. I'm actually like opposite embarrassed because it's not nearly as good as some of the people I work with.
You wear pants at work though.
Yeah, and unlike some people, Andrew's server is not in the bathroom.
It's true. My server is next to the furnace like an adult.
And you knows how to wipe it properly, not just with a cloth.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That is also true. What were we were doing a thing. I totally got distracted. It's going to be a show, guys. It's going to be a show. Oh, let's news. I think we're onto the news.
Yeah.
We got a lot of feedback
time, yeah.
this week too. So let's see how many of the news we can get through, and then there's a lot of feedback at the bottom of the stack. So Canada is officially trying to buy Germany's unwanted and unflyable RQ-4E Eurohawk drone. This comes to us from MSN.com. I don't know why. I don't know how. But for some reason, we're apparently bidding on a single defunct drone from Germany, the RQ-4E Eurohawk. I don't know why.
I can tell you why.
I would love to know why, because I can't figure it out.
Optics. So basically, just like if you buy a stripped AR receiver, you technically have a gun. It's not shootable. It's not loadable. You can't do anything with it other than just stare at it and wish you had more parts for it. But just the same way, if you buy a bare airframe without an engine or anything else, the price tag is really attractive, right? I mean, you might get it for like $50,000, and now you can say you have a drone. Doesn't matter if it flies or not. I mean, and that's what he's going to say. He actually increased our military presence by putting a drone up in Iqaluit. It can't fly, but it's there.
Well, we don't whip them out anyways, so
That's right. You don't want to show
Even
them
if it could fly, the Global Hawk is a steaming pile of turd.
Yeah, but like seriously though, look at the sweet fashy paint job on this thing with that cross on it.
I mean, it does have an iron cross. I will give it that.
The Eisenkreuz is very nice, yes. However, I think that what it boils down to is just it's just minimum amount of optics, and why not?
Well, I mean, the liberal government we currently have is all about optics and virtue signaling. So why not some drone signaling as well, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I'd rather have to spend money on this and at least have an airframe to speak of than promoting like education overseas or the LGBT community overseas.
Well, what we really need to worry
homeopathy
about
in South America. That was a thing I saw today. We should cover that next week.
Yeah, but I mean, if we have to worry though, if the NDP ever get in, they are going to make this thing working. And
well, I mean, yes, but it's a Global Hawk, so A, it doesn't fly, and B, it doesn't have any kind of armament.
Yeah, but they're going to spend even more money, so they may get it working.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this was like $1 billion program in the EU too, and one of these things goes for like 160 million US new. No, 160 million Canadian new. I don't know what we're bidding on this thing for, but
too much, whatever it is.
The RQ4 is a terrible design, and we should not buy one.
Yeah. For real.
Well, just like if you get a high-end AR versus an NEA, I mean, yeah, one's a lot cheaper. It might not work as well, but you know,
Or at all.
or at all,
or
might even smack you in the face with a charging handle. But hey,
Yeah.
hey. Other things that we're buying for our military that don't make any sense, and technically an airframe without an engine. We received our first 2 CF-18s from Australia.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah, RCAF welcomes first 2 used Australian F-18 jets. This is on CTV News. The Royal Canadian Air Force marked the arrival of 2 used Australian fighter jets with a ceremony this past Sunday in Cold Lake, Alberta. For reasons that we still don't fully understand, we now have more useless F-18s.
I think they were sold on the kangaroo fur seats.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to get Australian ones so they didn't have to redo all the stickers on the dash.
Yeah, but
there's
don't the Australian ones fly upside down, though, because they're on the other side of the world?
Maybe they can only turn left instead of right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've complained about this ad nauseum in the past, but the
At least
first 2
we have
showed up
them
and they
now?
flew them to Cold Lake. So,
Yeah,
I'm
of all the
surprised they actually
places.
flew them to Cold Lake. Well, I mean, it makes sense to fly them to Cold Lake because there's an active duty fighter squadron in Cold Lake for reasons
Well, I
that are
guess-
not entirely clear.
Well,
Imagine-
probably for a story we're kind of talking about later.
Imagine they're surprised when they realize that they got a massive air conditioning unit, and then when they probably yanked out the heaters 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I do kind of kid about it being in Cold Lake. It does make really good sense that we have a fighter base in Cold Lake because there's nothing there, so you can do whatever you want and not interfere with like civil air traffic or large urban
Yeah.
centers. Because it's like
Yeah.
the middle of Alberta.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think it ties in sort of probably to our next story, is like I was sort of saying, is that there you're close to the north, like the Arctic.
Yeah, I don't know
Which
what the flight time is, but I imagine it wouldn't take that long to get there.
No, but it's got to be better than like keeping them at like Borden or something stupid like that, you know?
Well, yeah, there's a reason
And-
they have them in Bagotville too in Quebec. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
that it's further north. You know, it's more centralized, believe it or not, geographically in Canada, just like Cold Lake is, right? I
yeah,
mean, think from like in Manitoba West, you've got Cold Lake, and it's pretty centrally located because actually it's on
Yeah.
the eastern edge of Alberta.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the middle up and down vertically, I guess, latitudinally.
yeah.
But it's longitudinally it would be on the eastern side of the province. It's almost right on the border, isn't it?
If you don't know what those latitudinally and longitudinally words mean, tune into Canadian Prepper podcast where Ian goes all about that.
Good little artiste on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bagotville's kind of the same deal. It's not northern Quebec, but it's northern than a lot of Canada.
Right.
It's also really, really east. But anyway, next thing. National Post. Strategic messaging. Russian fighters in Arctic spark debate on Canada's place at the top of the world.
Yep.
I don't know that that's a very accurate headline. I feel like the Russians probably have air superiority at this point.
so does that mean they were the ones flipping us off? Is that how that works?
They were inverted.
That makes all the difference.
Yeah. So I guess there was an issue with Russian jets being in what you could allege is Canadian airspace, NORAD controlled airspace.
Yeah, clearly a sign of Russian collusion.
Obviously, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, this is, as far as I understand it, this is not an uncommon thing. Various countries around the Arctic, the Americans, the Canadians, the Russians, we regularly fly various types of sovereignty and probing patrols into that airspace. So we kind of like ride along the borderline and see what's there and be like, hey, look, jets from this country that are inside of the border of this country. And we also have a thing where we're like, jets from this country in international airspace near this country. I mean,
Can't
like,
we?
the Russians used to do this with nuclear bombers up until what? Like, I think the last time they did this that we know about is like 10 years ago.
No, still doing them.
Oh, they're still doing them with strategic bombers. Good, good. That's
Yeah, they're
makes me
actually
feel very safe.
well, the big zone of airspace is called the Air Defense Identification Zone. So, northern Canada, northern Alaska, everything else, it's basically Canadian territory. They've staked a claim to it, so basically they've already let everybody know internationally that if you enter that space, you're going to get intercepted. So the Russians call their bluff and fly in there to see if they actually will intercept them or if they can. That's just
And
how they roll.
I feel like we have a good track record on actually doing the interception. Like, I feel like NORAD's pretty on the ball about that.
Yeah, no, we've been really good about it, actually.
Yeah. Well, except for like that one day and like, a few years ago where NORAD really dropped the ball on some stuff. But we won't talk about that.
Is this like a War Games thing? Like, Matthew Broderick was all like, do you want to play a game?
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like
Now
that.
you get groped when you go flying.
Yeah.
I always get groped when I go flying. Every time I go through the airport, they're like, looks to me like you're in the Taliban, son.
Hey man, it's not gay if it's TSA.
Do I have a drop for that? I feel like I should.
Looks to me like you're in the Taliban.
That's
you
what I
got
was
one.
looking for.
That's good.
Yeah. And whatever you do, don't have a whole brand new fresh pack of business cards and carry on.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. That definitely upsets them. So do boxes of computer RAM.
And believe it or
Yeah.
not, chocolate, big bars of chocolate.
Oh, well, if you want to mess with the X-ray machines, speaking as someone who has got some experience with those, peanut butter is roughly the same density as C4 explosive. So if you want them to open your bag, pack a 1 kilo thing of peanut butter.
Done.
Guaranteed to open your bag basically every time.
See, that's
Done.
really weird because, like, with the loose bestiality laws in Canada, there's a lot of peanut butter being shuttled around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't even say that it's a
Hard.
loose law. It's a pretty hard to find law, and
Yeah. No penetration, you're okay.
Oral only.
As long as the peanut butter's on the outside.
Yeah.
Close the gate. Do not penetrate.
I don't even. Anyway, Russians.
Yeah.
It's amazing though, what a good solid chunk of solid leadership on the Russian side. It's amazing how organized they can get, and yet some wackadoo leadership on this side. And everything's kind of falling apart. It's weird how that works.
Yeah. I have a feeling that maybe if we had some strong leadership, maybe they wouldn't be trying to probe our airspace, if you will.
Yeah, one would think.
Yeah, if only
I
we
would-
didn't have a prime minister who was so open to probing.
Well,
Yeah.
but mind
I was just
you,
going to make a comment about that.
because wasn't Trudeau going to kick Putin's ass in a boxing match or something like that? Didn't he? When he was getting elected, he threatened he was going to do the same thing to Putin he did to the Patrick Brazeau.
That was the threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Putin's not like a 5-time Sambo champion or some nonsense like that.
I believe it's Sambo and Judo. He's a
No. Oh well, even better.
Anything that ends in O.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put my money on rootin' tootin' Putin anytime.
Yeah, I'd love to see them go bare knuckled, MMA style. Just
14 rounds of bare knuckle, eh?
Yeah.
Comrade, you fight that girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, totally on a side, but have you seen any recent press conferences with Putin? He walks differently than he used to. He's given up the KGB right side shuffle. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I saw a press conference about this where Putin was
a walking coach.
Well, he used to. I mean, this is like a common thing for armed people is to keep a hand near their firearm, and I have a suspicion that being a former KGB agent, he was also trained to keep a hand near his firearm. So you used to see a lot of videos where he'd walk onto podiums and stuff, and one side of his body just didn't move. So he'd only swing his left arm and stuff. And
Maybe
he actually
finally told him he's not allowed to carry a gun.
I wonder if they've either taken his gun away or if somebody's been like, comrade, both arms.
Yeah.
You're printing too much.
Yeah.
So I did see an interview with Putin recently about I think about these same exercises. It was something to do with what was going on in the Arctic, and he was inspecting the Russian Air Force, and he looked a lot more like people and a lot less like KGB robot.
So you got an upgrade to his human suit.
Yeah, probably.
Possibly.
Or maybe he
I
was
wish-
drinking more or less vodka at the time. I'm not sure which, but
could
one
be.
or the other.
Could be.
Not the same event.
Yeah, that is
I'm
for
sure about
sure.
that.
So I mean, I don't see a problem with this whole probing the Arctic border thing. That's what NORAD is there for, and we should be scrambling the on-call fighter guys to go and do an interdiction and make sure the Russians stay on their side of the line where they're supposed to.
We've got 2 new Australian jets to go do that.
Right? That's
Yeah,
and
we have
maybe
70,
a drone.
Yeah, we have 70 now. We're adding 18 to bring us up to 88.
Yeah.
So,
I guess on the topic of drones, if that Global Hawk, pardon me, it's not a Global Hawk. If the Euro Hawk were to work, the package, the Mod 40 package that's on that Global Hawk would theoretically make it. I keep saying Global Hawk. Would theoretically make that Euro Hawk ideal for land reconnaissance. It's not great for interdiction and interception of aircraft. Really good at scouting out tunnels in Afghanistan that you want to drop MOABs on, though.
I think, though, they said that's what it was originally designed for, but they've taken all the avionics out of it. So, I mean, it's not. It's just an empty shell. So it can be
worse. That's much worse.
It can be reconfigured for whatever you want because it's actually got $0 worth of avionics inside. So it's basically just flight controls and a hull.
So we can build a fort.
Good.
yeah.
So we have an empty drone with no avionics. That's good. We have it. We have a $160 million RC aircraft.
You don't
That's
think
good.
this is going to go in Trudeau's kids' fucking playground?
Yes.
It might.
It's going to go alongside his $1,800 swing set or whatever the hell it was.
That would be a better use for it than giving it to our military. Because if it doesn't, I thought it was like a set up Eurohawk. If it doesn't have an avionics package, that makes it effectively useless.
Yeah, no, it's basically, like I said, a stripped receiver. It's down to nothing. So you can say you have a drone, but you have nothing in it. So it's basically just for show.
Yeah.
See, I just figured it was a Global Hawk, so it was a flying POS. I didn't realize that it was a Global Hawk that was a flying POS with nothing in it.
Yeah. So it's not even flying.
No, they said it's worth scrap only. So it basically is down to aluminum.
That's why we're getting a good deal on it.
Yeah.
Good. It's important that we're fiscally responsible.
Probably a good deal for the Germans, not for us.
We can't afford not to.
Yeah.
We could. We definitely could.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, but no. Let's do. We'll get into some more local news. Less government spending on the military, more local municipality spending on a sign. I feel like this is a topic that we also regularly cover. This is from the Red Deer Advocate, your source for news in Red Deer. Sign cost a concern for some in Red Deer. The rest of Red Deer hasn't yet noticed the giant sign.
Yeah. It is a hideous sign, too.
It is super bad. I don't know what it is, but it is definitely red and looks nothing like a deer, in my opinion.
I think it's supposed to be some sort of weird abstract line drawing of a deer, so it doesn't look like a deer at all.
Well, it's like the guy looked at the Browning buckmark symbol, dropped a little acid, and then went to town, right?
Yeah, and then spilled something on it.
I do not see a deer there.
Well, I think it's the angle they're taking the picture.
Could
it's
be.
They're at they're straight on.
It's very what would you call this? Impressionist? No, Art Nouveau. That's not it.
Like I think it's like
Deco.
The body, the tail, and then the antlers. Like there's no legs.
What did Van Gogh do? The thing where he bit his own ear off. I feel like this is the thing that would induce
you to a lot of absinthe.
You mean?
I feel like this would induce you to biting your own ear off.
I don't think you can bite your own ear. I think he cut his ear off. He did shoot himself in the stomach.
What are you, an art critic?
3 days to die, but yeah, but I don't. I think Susan Zelinsky could have taken a better picture of that. That's all I'm saying, Susan.
Susan Zelinsky, we're disappointed in you.
She's sitting there critiquing a sign with a...
I mean, it's very hard to tell what angle you're supposed to look at it from. So let's not be too hard on her.
Okay, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to try to find another picture that...
Does it more justice?
Wasn't taken by a Polish person.
Aw. It's sad, but not wrong. So, $1 million for what is a piece of bent metal painted glossy red in Red Deer
Yeah, I'm not
that
finding
apparently somehow
no other
symbolizes the city of Red Deer. I don't really.
Yeah. It's hideous. Like, it's hideous. There's no other way to describe
It's
it.
super fugly.
Yeah.
Well, just like
Like-
the snowblower licensing manager that makes the Sunshine List, I'm sure Julia Harvey Shemko, the director of communications and strategic planning, is probably on the equivalent of a Sunshine List for the city of Red Deer.
Yeah.
We used to say that, beware the mustache with certain coworkers, and I always say beware the hyphenated name. It's usually a warning sign.
Yeah, it's a giveaway.
She was probably an arts degree major with like interpretive dance, like you used to say there, and I'm
Well,
thinking,
especially when it's Harvey Shemko and the Harvey is IE.
Ooh.
yeah, I'm thinking
Who
she
does
probably thought
that?
this was a cool idea back in year 3 of university, but with all the participation medals she got, maybe she just thought that's cool enough, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
They paid for it, so they must like it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess so. The residents of the city and even Miss Harvey Shemko have admitted that there has been mixed feedback.
So like
Mostly
people dislike
saying
it to this is the
WTF
ugliest
in
thing.
regards to the
Yeah.
cost.
They're not having a go at the Irish, are they? What was that?
Who isn't?
No, nobody's having a go at the Irish. Calm down. You'll be fine.
Oh, mixed feedback.
Oh yeah, mixed
Yeah.
feedback, not
Yeah.
Mick feedback.
Yeah. Totally different.
Well, not that different.
But
The
yeah.
Irish wouldn't stand for this.
No, they
No.
wouldn't say that. Fucking sign would be down. They would have
Yeah.
sold her for scrap.
It would have been ginger colored too, not red.
Yeah.
It'll probably be
Sorry
ginger
for
colored
both
in a
our
few
Polish
years
and
when it-
Irish listeners.
when it rusts.
Hey, there's one thing that the Polish and the Irish have in common, and that's potatoes and the alcohol that they make from it.
Yes.
That's true. It's a good
So-
positive. So far we've managed to compliment the Germans, steal from the Aussies, and upset the Polish in the mix. Good. We're off to a great start.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
Diversity is our
Diversity,
strength. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of
Anyway.
nonsense.
Anyway, to
let's
wrap
focus
it up. Shitty sign.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah, that's the
strongly disagree with the sign. Don't
Yeah.
know what it's for. Don't know why we paid for it. Definitely shouldn't have cost the city $1 million. Looks
Yeah.
dumb.
Hard no.
Yeah.
Official policy position of Canadian Patriot Podcast: hard no.
Yeah.
Other things that we can all vote in disfavor of: hard no on this. From Global News, Canada is handing BlackBerry $40 million to help develop self-driving car technology.
Nope.
Yeah, hard pass.
Yeah.
So apparently
Yeah.
BlackBerry still exists.
Well, he still
It's
hasn't bought
amazing,
that
really.
hockey team, so
I honestly, I knew they still existed, but I thought they sold all of their campus in Waterloo, Ontario. So I was kind of like, pardon me. This is over their campus. This is at their campus in Ottawa. So maybe the campus in Waterloo, Ontario, really is gone, and they just moved their operations to Ottawa. Yeah. Anywho, the company's investing $30 million, which apparently it still has somehow, to
guess-
create 800 jobs, which is the first time BlackBerry's created jobs in like 10 or 15 years. In the Ottawa campus to support the 300 existing positions that are there, to develop various technologies, including self-driving cars, of which our government is going to contribute $40 million towards.
I just
For
want to know
reasons
how
that
they
remain
went to
unclear.
like a cell phone manufacturer for self-driving cars. Like, what part of what they already made has anything to do with self-driving cars?
Cameras.
Yeah, they mentioned actually that they have some software running in cars already. I'm not saying that's a good excuse for them or anything else, but they did say they have some similar technology.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know they've got like the systems that like integrate your phone into your car, and if we had another panelist on, they may be able to elaborate some more on this. But
Yeah, so I mean, like, part of it is they developed their
But-
own cameras in house before. We may
Well,
allegedly
yeah.
know somebody who was involved in that technology.
Yeah, but that doesn't
They
mean they know
also
how to
have
drive
integration
cars.
into automotive. No, but machine learning and imaging is a very related field. And I mean, I know a little bit about this. We do some machine learning stuff, some machine imaging stuff in my industry. I can see how you would go to somebody that already sort of knows how cameras work and know how to integrate into automotive to do this sort of thing. Because I mean, cars do run on computers now.
Yeah.
The computers are becoming more and more like real computers every generation. I can kind of see how you're doing this. I also really despise the idea of giving BlackBerry money because
Or
they
any
have,
company money.
well, I mean, yes, also the government should not be giving companies money, but BlackBerry is not like a force to be reckoned with in the industry. They are no longer a major employer in Canada. They're no longer a leader in technology in the world. At one point, they were the world's largest smartphone manufacturer. So I could see like the government being like, "Hey, we're interested in self-driving cars," and BlackBerry being like, "Hey, we have R&D people. We know about that technology. Let's do some stuff and get like some tax credits or whatever." Because government. But I don't think that BlackBerry's got $300 million to just like throw around, and they certainly shouldn't be getting $40 million from the government to develop self-driving car technology when they're not an automotive manufacturer.
Yeah, I think they should
Yeah.
stay in their own lane, and if anything, they could take that 40 million and
Oh,
find a
that's
way.
really good. Stay in their own lane. I like
Yeah,
that.
and they could find
Very
a way.
appropriate.
Yeah, they could find a way to grind to get their executives kicked off of air flights like in much quicker ways than they used to.
That's funny because it's a thing.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
That was back in
Hey.
2011 when two BlackBerry executives got so drunk they grounded a jet en route from Canada to China. It was flying from Toronto to Beijing, and they had to land in Vancouver and eject two assholes.
Also,
Do you know who I am?
were they not sea level people? I'm pretty sure they were in the C-suite.
Fucking BlackBerry.
I'm the BlackBerry.
Yeah.
No, you're just getting arrested in Vancouver. Good luck with that.
Thanks
like, seriously,
It's
have, like, they
ruining
even-
the travel plans of 300 people, asshole.
Yeah, but like, have they even made like a phone that anyone's bought since the, what was it, the Pearl or whatever that was, like the one with the little wheelie ball thing?
Well, they tried the
I'm-
BlackBerry X or whatever it was, and that was a miserable failure. And that was the,
Yeah, but like I think the Pearl or whatever it was, like I never had a BlackBerry, so I don't really know. But I think that was like the last one that people actually liked.
Yeah,
And then
I feel
after
like
that, it
you're
was
right.
like people were like, "Oh, so this iPhone thing is catching on, and what's this Android thing? Let's try those." And nobody ever bought a BlackBerry ever again.
let's do
Not even
another
Marty?
thing. Well, maybe Marty.
I think Marty bought one.
No, I think he's on the iPhone now too. He just uses the BlackBerry Messenger app, but not
Oh.
anymore because
Not with me, because I
Yeah.
turned that shit off.
yeah, no, not anymore though, because we can get him online in other ways.
Do you want to take the In Saga story there, Gavin? That's in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Let me just pull this up.
You don't
here.
have the show notes open.
No, I've got them open. I just haven't
Oh,
clicked
good,
that
good.
one. Yeah. So this one hits home for me. So my local city where I live, Mississauga, we're demanding financial compensation for our refugees that we took in. So I guess the Trudeau's, and I'm using that term as a general thing for everyone that had anything to do with bringing these people in, brought in, 497 unique individuals, they're calling it.
Yeah, but they weren't really that unique. A lot of them just the same clothes,
494 of the
Yeah.
same people,
Same
three wives,
voice.
three
Yeah,
husbands.
they settled them in Peel region, which for those that don't know what Peel region is, it's Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon.
It's named so because of all the strip clubs.
Yeah. And then another 91 came in from Toronto. So initially landed in Toronto and came over. And they've stayed in a shelter for 1,126 days, or no, 29,000 days. But some Number of shelter stays is like 11,000. Anyways, total cost of this is like just shy of $2 million, of which we've received no funding for.
So the municipality is out $2 million for something the federal government decided to do. Is that
Yeah, that's the
Cool.
short. Yeah.
cool?
And if I recall correctly, is basically when Montreal started to get overwhelmed by the amount of refugees coming in off, was it Ralston Road or or whatever it was?
Yeah.
They just threw them on a bus and sent them to Mississauga, if I recall, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you're welcome to keep them in Mississauga. We
No.
don't want them where I live.
No, I'm good.
Like my municipality doesn't have $2 million to rub together. Never mind giving them to federal programs.
Yeah, mine doesn't either. That's why we're asking for it. I mean, if this was a federal thing, the federal government should be picking up the tab for this. I mean, one way or the other, it's going to come out of my pocket, I guess, but like, it should at least come out of the right pocket, you know, or not at
How
all.
did they spend $88,000 in food for 1,000 days? That doesn't even make sense.
I know, like none of these numbers.
They spent
really...
$800 a day per person to feed them.
That's some big tips.
That can't be per day.
No, the total cost on food was $88,000. The number of shelter days was 1,100. That's almost $1,000 a day in food costs.
Yep.
Like per person day in the shelter. That doesn't even. I pay my guys $50 a day per diem.
And why are we spending
I
like
feel
almost
like we're getting hosed.
40 grand on transportation? Like, where are these people going? Like
The finest restaurants, apparently.
yeah,
Clearly the most swankiest of joints in Mississauga for dining.
yeah.
You said 88,000 and 1,100 people?
88,000 for 1,100 days worth of staying in government provided facilities. It's call it 500. Well, call it 800 people for easy math. Like I don't care which way you divide it. If it's by number of people or number of shelter days, it's $1,000 a day, $1,000 a person.
This could just be poorly written.
I mean, it could be poorly written. I mean, it is in saga.com, but
Totally a valid news source. Totally. But yeah, like if we didn't have anything to do with this, if you're going to put people up here, don't expect the locals to foot the bill.
well, and this is part of my thing with this too. Is like the article ends with, do you think either Ottawa or the province will acquiesce to the request to reimburse Peel Region for housing? You shouldn't be asking the province for this. This was not Doug Ford being like, give me 497 new Canadians.
Yeah.
That's my Doug Ford impression. This was a Trudeau thing. Trudeau's government can pay for this. This is a federal thing. Hey, Alberta, thanks for the transfer dollars. We're going to spend them on $88,000 for food for people that are new to Mississauga. Thanks for that.
I like the comments on the there's like Facebook comments at the bottom of the article. There's a guy called Adam, and he says Mississauga is where they will start the Islamic State of Canada. And the next reply to that is a guy named Khan, and he says, "Oh, stop."
Yeah, stop complaining.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only place that they're planning on running an IPU candidate is Mississauga, isn't it? Peel Region?
Probably.
So, yeah, the federal government, not the municipality, should be paying for this and leave the Ford government alone. My province is also not footing the bill on this if I have any say.
Yeah.
This is a federal program. The federal government can pay for it out of my federal tax dollars. Also, I'm more than happy to frog march politicians out of the Peace Tower over this.
Yeah.
The top door on the Peace Tower, just to be abundantly clear.
I just think, like, as a liberal, really, all us liberal voters should really split that bill.
Yeah. That would be the fair thing to do.
I mean, I've had this argument before, is if you vote for this policy, you should be the first person this policy takes effect for. So if you want to resettle Syrian migrants in Canada, we should put them in your house.
Well, or any migrant, really. I mean, if I wanted to sponsor my family to come over here, guess who has
Absolutely.
to foot the bill? Me.
And I am fully in support of that. If you want your Albanian marine biologist cousin that can't get a visa to come into the country, then he can live with you.
Yeah.
And if you want some shitholer from some third world country to come into the country, then he should also get to live with you.
Yeah, and if you want your potato-loving Irish or Polish friends to come stay with you, then
I don't. They need to stay in there.
Well, but if you did.
Yeah, but I mean, have you met my family? We don't need more mix in this country.
Yeah, that's true. But if you did, you'd foot the bill for them.
But I'm actually kind of curious to how many of these celebrities and politicians that keep on talking about this have actually housed people in their houses.
Precisely zero.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's almost like how many refugee camps there are in the Middle East that are packed with people.
well,
Also, precisely zero. Although, oddly enough, the Middle East has a lot of refugee camps. Like, look at Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Jordan, for examples. They have camps with tents with air conditioners, which that in of itself baffles me how they have tents with air conditioners. But look at Jordan. That's a thing.
those things must be blowing nonstop and make no
Right?
difference whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's not for like
For actual use, it's for getting UN money.
what do you call those guys who just walk around? Migrants. They're not. That's not for migrants. That's for people that they make a like a trek, like a pilgrimage yearly across the thing. So it's for their own people.
Oh, okay.
That's why they have the air conditioned tents. That look amazing.
I still feel like their people belong in their country and not in mine.
Pretty much. I mean, unless you want to go through the whole legal immigration process, in which case then you need people to sponsor you and spend money or have your own money.
Yeah, and I support that. If you want to come here and be an economic contributor, I can live with that.
Yeah, I have
If
my
you
own
want
money,
to-
and I'd like to keep more of it.
Yeah.
I would also like to keep more of mine. The government forcibly separating me from my hard-earned finances.
What?
Again, frog marching politicians out of peace towers. Just saying it's an option. I mean, again, too bad Marty's not here. 1692, the Dutch ate their prime minister. We have options.
Yeah. I am kind of hungry.
Yeah, I feel like it would be it would taste funny.
Maybe that's how they
Yeah.
got the price up to like $88,000.
Could be.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that I don't want in my country, global news again. Canadian who tried to join terror group in Syria set for release from prison despite being a, quote, high risk to public safety.
Well, I mean,
Is it a Canadian? Is a Canadian? Is a Canadian? Is a Canadian?
yeah, but like, what's high risk these days? I mean, like, we've got a guy that cut someone's head off just roaming around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you're right. You're
I
right.
thought I had a drop of our Justin Trudeau Canadian thing, but I can't find it. So
Oh, you're
no apologies for.
you'll have to take that instead.
yeah. Oh, you're a fan of Trudeau? Name one reporter he's groped.
The Liberal Party believes that terrorists should get to keep their Canadian citizenship.
hard no.
Not the drop I was looking for, but definitely appropriate to this article.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I don't care that this was an Ontario, air quotes, Ontario man who traveled to Syria to join Al Qaeda. If you fight for a foreign government, you don't belong in your country of origin any longer.
Yeah.
You are 100% not my problem. So Omar Mohammed, who decided to travel to Syria to try and join Al Qaeda, I don't really care. You're Syria's problem now. Your ass should be deported.
Yeah,
you are
so-
not welcome here. You are not an Ontarian. You are not a Canadian. You need to be stripped of your citizenship. You wanted to fight for Al Qaeda? You get to be part of Al Qaeda now. You're not welcome back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. There is no pedagogy for you, sir. You stay in whatever shithole you went to. You're not my problem. The fact that this guy's even allowed back in the country, never mind let out of prison despite being his high risk to public safety. I take issue with everything in this article.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I look at it a little bit differently. Like if you immigrated here and then go elsewhere to fight, then yeah, your citizenship should be revoked. I will say that, like, I believe that if you're born in a country, your citizenship there should be, one of those inalienable rights. So he should be able to come back, but then he should also be tried for treason and hung.
Oh, well, okay, back on the same page. We're good then.
So like you can't strip somebody's, right to be a citizen in the country they were born in, and that's fine. I will agree to that. But then you're also held accountable to their laws, which we have treason on the books.
If Danny Deaver, some individual that can't get along in polite society, then yeah, okay. If that's a thing that we can do, then yeah, this guy gets to do the Danny Deaver. Absolutely. But I don't...
So, yeah, like do you mind if I just quote the article for a second, Andrew?
Give her.
Yeah, so it says, the board remains very concerned that the serious nature of your offenses alone, coupled with your dangerous, radical religious beliefs, would impede your reintegration and continue to present significant risk to the community as a whole. But go ahead, we're going to let you out anyway. So all I can say is, thank God this guy wasn't a legal firearms owner, because those guys are animals. I mean... Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess there is that, where we should be thankful he doesn't have any guns.
Yeah, a quick comment on that. To everybody that went to the Senate thing today, Tracy, Dave, Adam, and a bunch of other people, thank you for speaking on behalf of legal gun owners and showing everyone that we are not monsters like this individual that went to go join ISIS and tried to get back into the country.
So like I understand, it's like they're trying to impede upon our rights as legal, licensed gun owners, and yet this guy who clearly presents a clear in presentation,
an actual threat, an
actual threat, and they managed to put that in writing, and they're totally cool with him just like being free as a bird, and I just don't understand their logic stream on that one. But
it is people like this that want me to advocate for the right to carry firearms for every Canadian, because we cannot be expected to be safe while we have people who openly try to join ISIS running around in my nice civil community.
And he turned down any attempt at like deprogramming. Like, I guess the haiku didn't work or whatever, but
and the pedagogy doesn't take effect.
Yeah.
So I actually did a haiku based on what Andrew was saying, and here it is. Stay where you went to. Don't come back to Canada. Just go fuck off, eh?
I mean,
best haiku ever. Now next to the refrigerator one.
No, I feel like that's better than the refrigerator haiku.
I think that might be a new shirt for Tim's Good T-shirts.
Yeah, like I'm not. I mean, but seriously, fuck this guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people like deserve that, but like this guy, fuck this guy.
Hey man, if you commit treason, you deserve
if you
the
commit
penalty.
Treason, you deserve to swing. Yeah. And this guy, that's a swinging offense.
Oh yeah. Hemp will save the world, man.
Oak makes the strongest beams. Although hickory will do in a pinch.
Hickory is pretty good.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you don't follow Tactical Patriot on Instagram, you should. That the man is a good word worker.
Yeah, those end tables.
Yeah, the end tables made of hickory.
Yeah.
Better if they were oak, but
don't forget the underappreciated coffee table he made quite a while ago.
It's true that coffee table is underappreciated. Speaking of people who are not underappreciated, at least by the Indian government, from the Globe and Mail, Ontario MPP Jagmeet Singh denied visa visit to India. Now, I'm not an expert, but isn't Jagmeet Singh running for a seat in Burnaby, British Columbia this week? Like today?
The election is today.
Yeah.
There's a by-election in BC, and I'm pretty sure Jagmeet's up for that. Is he not? Am I wrong? Is it a different Jagmeet Singh?
Same guy, and it's he's actually running against one of Mad Max's people too.
Yeah, and I feel like Mad Max has got a chance. Well, Mad Max person.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 commies and a PPC person, so it'd be very interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, that actually reminds me later. I've got a funny story about a guy that was running to be part of that party, and they didn't want him.
And so it turns out,
Well-
I guess India was able to exercise some autonomy with this one and actually say, hey, this guy's not a nice person. Let's just not let him in. Imagine
I
that.
guess, I guess they were saying that he seeks to undermine the Indian democratic institutions. Weird, because we let people that do that back into the country.
It's almost like that's one of the 3 functions of government is, maintaining your borders, right? And good for them, as they should.
Yeah, they're doing better than our country.
Yeah. Well, then there was another little quote here somewhere about this is the first time that they've barred a government official or something like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, so he is technically currently a member, but he's not part of the ruling party, so he's not there on any sort of official business, so his government status is null and void in terms of him going to India, unless the shiniest of ponies is hey, can you go to India and check some shit out for me as part of an official government sanctioned thing? His job is irrelevant. He sounds like he's going there for vacation and they wouldn't let him in. No different than if any of us were going to some country for vacation and not any part of our job as an official national delegate. Who fucking cares, bud? They say no, deal with it. Don't try to pull rank.
Well,
when it's not relevant.
Canada has a history of doing that, going back to Pierre Elliott Trudeau when he got his record erased so that he could be let back into America because he was a member of the Communist Party.
Yeah. But at least if you're going there on official business, there's a reason for it. If you're just going there because you want to go there, don't try to pull rank with your position because it's not valid in this thing. Just shows that you're a piece of shit. In my opinion, anyways.
Well, it certainly backfired in my opinion. He just wanted to go. Yeah. And I always like to point out, sing is a verb.
Yeah.
Don't elect a verb.
Yeah. Or a Trudeau.
Yeah.
Next thing.
This is why you don't elect a Trudeau.
Well, I tried to structure the articles in a way that worked nicely together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I politics.
Yeah, something that doesn't
Trudeau
rustle your
faces-
cod piece.
Yeah.
You leave my cod piece out of this. Trudeau faces 5th. 5th. That's 5. 5th ethics probe involving his cabinet.
As we said earlier, he enjoys a good probing.
Man, his butts are going to be super probed. Well, I mean, except that guy stepped down last week, but...
Well, the good news is he's happy to meet with the ethics commissioner at any time, we've been told.
Well, apparently the ethics commissioner would like to have that conversation.
For a 5th time. Just out of curiosity, prior to Trudeau, how many prime ministers have had an ethics violation? Even a single ethics violation?
Well, surprisingly, I think they were all liberal. I believe Paul Martin had Canada Steamships Line because he wasn't paying tax and he was running it as a shadow thing through his son, as well sitting as prime minister, and there's some conflict going on there. And there's one other one with Trudeau Senior, I do believe, as well. I can't remember the details on that
so
one.
in the history of Canada, there's been 2 that you can think of.
Well,
and they've had 1 each.
Yeah, I know. It's was the Mike Duffy thing technically an ethics breach, or was it just expenses that they paid back thing?
Didn't impact the prime minister's office.
Yeah, okay, so that's why I wasn't sure.
There's 2, and both of them served multiple terms, if I recall. Yeah, we've got one.
Trudeau the Senior was thrice.
Yeah, so 12 years, 1 thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing to happen, but 12 years and 1 ethics breach. You got a guy that hasn't even done 4 years, and he's got 5 of them.
Yeah,
That's kind of fucky.
If he got hit with all like a fine for each one, wouldn't that be like $1,000? That'd be like $1,000 he'd have to pay, wouldn't
It'd be
it?
almost $1,000. He would probably have
Man.
to dip into his savings, maybe
Yeah.
even sell his Mercedes.
Maybe sell half of one of his kids' swing sets or
Yeah.
playground equipment or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
not the swing sets.
Well, maybe he's hoping to get the scrap value on that drone.
Maybe.
So my understanding is out of the 5 ethics probes that we were up to, Trudeau has actually been found wanting on 2 of them.
But the fact that they're even happening, like I get, like everyone makes a fuck up, but 5 of them, and you've been found guilty on 2 of the 4 so far.
Yeah. Do you know
That's
why?
50% great. You know,
Because he's just not ready.
Yeah.
But again, for every time you get caught driving drunk, how many times have you actually done it? So, I mean, these are just the ones we know about,
hundreds.
Right? So, speaking from experience, I can say hundreds, yeah. But, yeah, no, seriously, I mean, like, this is just the ones we know about. Clearly, there's more. And, yeah, dirty is good to be, right?
Yeah, who knows how many more before October's election.
I mean, remember how much hay they made out of Mike Duffy's expenses, and that he wasn't even, like you said, didn't even directly affect the Prime Minister. So, I mean, yet you're hearing absolutely nothing mainstream on this. Like, it's certainly not getting the coverage it should. And the rats are leaving the ship like no tomorrow.
Well, yeah, this $90,000 that Duffy did, like, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what Morneau's father did with his investment company.
Well, that barely even paid for a helicopter trip to some Caribbean island, right? I mean, 90,000. That's nothing.
Well,
Rookie numbers.
or a drop in the bucket compared to what we spent on a skating rink.
Yeah, that was only open or got too cold and they couldn't leave it open or something.
Yeah, that you couldn't do anything on, and it broke because it was too cold.
Yeah, and you had to read all the rules, and by the time you did, your fucking time is up.
Yeah,
And no hockey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Let's do rapid fire feedback.
Yeah.
All right, first one from Jason. We've got Facebook feedback from Jason. McDoubles for prepper rations. Discuss shelf stability, caloric density, etc.
Ooh.
Yeah, well,
So-
I have left a burger in my car for like months on end back in my teenage days, and I could say it would look the same as when it came out of the drive-through. So I mean, shelf stability, a-okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to reference other podcasts, but seeing as they're a pod cart, I believe Trevor has a burger that he's got in a desk somewhere that looks untouched after 4 years. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I think McDonald's food holds up better than today's gasoline.
yeah,
caloric density. I mean, hey, if you take away the bun, it's delightfully keto and high calories. So I mean, high fat.
I don't know if it's that high. So a McDouble is only about 400 calories.
yeah, but for its size,
Yeah, for its size, it is a relatively small 2 patty, 2 slices of cheese hamburger. I'm air quotes.
that's mystery meat. Yeah,
400 calories, 23 grams of protein, 19 grams fat, 20% of your daily intake of calcium. They sell for about $2.
That's the problem right there.
yeah.
What, the cheese?
Which part? The $2?
The $2 for that much calories. Go to the dollar store and buy a kilogram of peanuts. That'll fill your codpiece.
That will fill your. I mean, but for $2 though, of other foods, 400 calories for $2 outside of peanuts. Not a bad deal. I feel like this is more protein than peanuts. Also, the whole 20% of your daily recommended intake of calcium, 7% of your daily fiber intake, plus the fact that it's like $2 Canadian.
Yeah. It's a bucket patty, man. It's
a freaking toonie.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we've learned nothing from the internet, and also Trevor Furlot, although it pains me to say this, McDonald's food is apparently very shelf stable.
Is it Furlart? Trevor Furlart.
I'm not sure I would want to continue eating these, especially I don't think I would want to store them and eat them later. But I don't.
Maybe if you found a box of them like frozen and kept them and then cooked them in like an end of world situation, they wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, I mean, like the closest thing I get to eating fast food is generally Five Guys, and I don't feel like this is a thing that, well, it may not go, quotes, bad, is a good thing to go to your McDonald's every couple of days and buy one to put in your storage room. I feel like that's not a great life choice.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, if that's all that's left is that and Twinkies.
I'm eating the Twinkies.
Yeah,
Just saying. Yellow dye number 5 and some cream filling. It's got to be better than whatever the fuck is in this thing.
Yeah, that sugar content in the Twinkie is going to make it stick around a little bit longer. I mean, I don't know, Jason. Like, just stick one in your desk and let it sit there for like 2 months, and then try it, and then send us an email and let us know how that goes.
Once you get over the botulism.
Yeah. If it goes well, I'll send you the $2 to get another one, and then you could try in 6 months and see what happens. How's that?
Yeah. You got to really worry about food that bacteria says, no mercy.
Yeah.
I'll go burrow in this shit over here.
Well, I guess how does the McDouble compare to other mix sandwiches?
You going at the Irish again?
Yes. Well, like, the Irish from like where's McDonald's from? Minnesota? Is that
what kind of sandwich do the mix eat?
Potato
sandwiches.
No, but seriously, where was the first McDonald's? California.
Is, right?
The first McDonald's was in California. I should know this.
Sorry, Gavin's going on about mixed sandwiches.
No, you know what an Irish 6-pack is, right?
What is it?
5 potatoes and a Guinness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard every Irish joke ever. I get it.
Yeah, and when you have 2 beers, one in each hand, it's Irish handcuffs.
I feel like everybody else in the panel hasn't heard every Irish joke ever.
No.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. Tune in next week for the All Mick episode.
It's McTastic.
Yeah. I don't know. Of the things on the McDonald's menu, I guess this isn't the worst. The best? I'm not sure what to do with this. The McDouble.
The McWorst.
Going with it's not a great choice for prepper food.
No.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not.
Yeah, maybe if you dehydrate it. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. For 4 of those, you could buy like what 10 kilograms of rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, $2
buy some actual food.
$2 will get you 2 packs of macadamia nuts at the dollar store, and we talked about the other day. It's like high fat, high calories. It's self-stable, it's salted, and it's negative carbs if you're into keto.
And they're naturally occurring, unlike McDoubles.
That's
I've
right.
never seen a McDoubles in nature, but I've definitely seen macadamia nuts.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. We got an email from JN. Subject is World War I. Listen to your latest episode. Great job as usual. Editorializing. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the SNC Loveland episode as the story keeps getting better and better. Editorializing. Me too. Waiting for the story to actually coalesce. The fact that she, the former Justice Veterans Affairs Minister, is retaining a former Supreme Court Justice Counsel in regards to what she can say and cannot speaks volumes. Towards the end of the last episode, there was mention of a World War I documentary before CBC got shitty and actually reported the news. They did some interviews with World War I Canadian vets. The interviews were conducted in the 1960s. The original title of the interviews was Flanders Fields, Canadian Voices from World War I. You can find it on iTunes. There are 17 episodes. It's about an hour apiece for $10. Link below. And there's a link in the show notes to the iTunes episodes. It's Flanders Fields, Canadian Voices. Comes up on iTunes. Did a little searchy search. Thanks
Thanks.
again for the show, JN.
I want to thank Jan for the feedback. It's always appreciated, but we don't say before CBC got shitty. We say before CBC got shittier.
Oh, I was going to say before they
CBC
received additional public funding, but all right.
got shittier.
Yeah.
We've also got email from Kevin. Oh yeah, seriously though, go spend the $10 on iTunes and listen to some interviews with actual veterans about actual World War I stuff. These guys, the field implements on these soldiers would have required several horses to pull around.
Yeah. I mean, any guy that wandered around with like those giant old school military rifles had some serious strength and some serious balls to be doing the things they were doing.
And they weren't easily triggered by thoughts and feels.
No.
All right, from Kevin. Subject, CPP 145. Having struggled through numerous iTunes CPP podcasts, the deplorable audio quality must be addressed. Specifically, Andrew, in CPP 145, every few words is inaudible at best. Thank you for the attention to the above. In the Canadian tradition, I must apologize in advance for any inconvenience, insult, or anything else that may or may not find offensive in this correspondence. Have a great day, eh? Yeah, sorry, 145 was not one of our best shows. My internet and or audio setup at the time was not great. Hopefully at this point I've sorted everything out. I made a significant effort, around episode 150 to redo my audio setup. Fingers crossed it is working better.
Yeah, so you've only got to get through 5 more shitty episodes to get our less shitty episode.
Well, so the thing that I found is that originally I just sort of I did my contribution to the pod because everybody. So the way that the podcast works for our audio nerds out there in podcast land, Marty, looking at you, for our audio nerds out there in podcast land, everybody records just into Google Hangouts. I rip the Google Hangouts stream because that's what puts it onto YouTube. And that's what ends up going as the show feed is whatever went into Google Hangouts. If we were really a high quality production with like a lot of free time on our hands and technical know-how, we would record everybody's copy of their audio locally, so it didn't matter what happened to their internet. Everything would sound the way that it sounds to them on their mic when they do their test recording and make sure they can hear everything. Yeah, we're not that kind of a great value production. You get what you pay for if you're a Patreon. I'm sorry.
So we need your help to support the show.
Yeah. We need more Patreons because if you can pay me to do this full time, I'll hire an audio engineer. But until we can afford one of those, you have to deal with Marty and me trying to make the best of it.
We're so broke, I'm paying to be here. I'm a Patreon too.
We really should reimburse you. But yeah, until we can afford an audio engineer, you get what you get. I'm sorry. Sometimes some episodes are better than others. We started out, I think I used just a regular headset mic the first couple of episodes, as I recall. And we were like, all right, I guess this is really going to be a thing. And Gavin got on, and we had Tyler and Sean, and we were sort of had the regular panel for a little bit. And I bought a better Chinese microphone. And then around episode 100, I think, Marty and I figured out how to make my better Chinese microphone actually sound reasonable. So I have a bunch of post-production stuff that happens on my recording laptop. And then around episode 150, I realized that something had happened at some point where I didn't sound good anymore. So we made a bunch of tweaks. I hope it sounds better. If it doesn't, I'm sorry.
10 more feedback.
So yeah, let us know. I used to listen to all the episodes. The first probably 50 or 60 episodes, I actually edited the cussing out and put in it was a gunshot sound effect every time somebody dropped an F-bomb, but that was just way too time consuming. So when my wife got pregnant, we just stopped doing that because I didn't have time to listen to record the podcast for 90 minutes and then do 3 or 4 hours worth of editing. So now you get the 90 minutes. I just run it through the stuff in Audacity and it goes out. And sometimes it sounds good and sometimes it could sound better.
Right.
Anyway, next thing, Todd. From Todd. Show topic. Guys, you were asking for topic suggestions. I was thinking about lines and limits. I think that a lot of us are thinking about that. As shooters, I think most of us have some understanding of trajectory. And when we see the trajectory of things like crime, social, fiscal, and economic policies, illegal immigration, religious persecution, and favoritism, we can project where we will end up if there is no change. A few weeks ago, I sent over a Churchill quote about when to fight and how we tend to react only when our survival is at stake. I'd be interested in your discussion on trajectory, lines, and limits. Where do you think we are? The left arc of fire is the checkered post. The right arc of fire is the right checkered post. Your individual arc of fire is your lane. Watch and shoot. Watch and shoot.
So what you're saying is stay in your lane.
Well, that's what I would be saying, but that's apparent. That may or may not be. I don't think we're at that point yet.
No.
So I guess we can do the hot takes for this panel, and I appreciate the feedback, Todd. We may try and make an episode out of this because I think the lines and limits discussion is interesting. But let's get everybody's hot take.
It almost sounds like this would go well into the lost episode of Liberty or Death.
Yes, the episode that can never be spoken of.
Yeah.
Yes. Although we know it's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewheres.
Yeah, I would say we are definitely not at the fourth box of Liberty, but we are certainly...
What are the boxes of Liberty for everybody who's new? Every show could be somebody's first show.
Yeah, well, I guess so. The soapbox, the ballot box, the jurors box, and the ammo box. I don't think we're at the fourth one yet, but we are certainly at some stage of the first three, in my opinion, on certain fronts.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree on the majority of fronts. I would say that we're getting very close to that third, possibly fourth box.
Yeah, I mean, with all this stuff going to Senate hearings and stuff like that, today even about guns and gun rights, I mean, that's certainly, I would say, the third box.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like when the government seeks to restrict my ability to own property, which I can use to defend my life, liberty, and my family, I question the legitimacy of the government at that point. We have a word for the governments that want to take away my life, liberty, and ability to defend my family. We call those governments tyrannical.
Yeah.
And I worry that we are very, very close to approaching that type of government in this country.
Well, I mean, history doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. Of course, I don't want to compare us to the Roman Empire because we're way too small for that. But if you look at just something as simple as Venezuela, I mean, they're on the tail end of things now. Current news articles coming out from Venezuela are the fact that they wish they hadn't given up their guns willingly to the government. About 6-7 years ago, I was debating whether or not where to go when I left Ontario, and Venezuela was actually a choice at the time because they just elected the dingbats down there, and you were actually allowed to own firearms down there, and fairly decent ones. They banned them shortly thereafter, and then they started confiscating them, and before you know it, socialist policies took over. Economy implodes with a one strong popular leader, and that was that. So it's very predictable where we're heading. I just don't think we're as far along as Maduro.
No, but I worry that we're not that many elections away from a Maduro.
No, exactly. I think we're very, very close. I mean, all it take it would be a Jagmeet Singh or whatever have you with his economic policies the way they are, or an AOC if we had one of those up from the States, and you'd be on your way.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
My bartenders from Brooklyn belong to stay there.
Make her a bartender again. Be great hat.
Yeah.
That's right. Make bartenders 10 bar again.
Yeah. So like where we are, I don't know. Like you could say I recently attended a town hall meeting in the small town of Durham where the Minister of Border Security, Bill Blair, was, questioning and talking about how we all have to, make sacrifices and whatnot to, for the good of Canada, where this is the same person who on October 3rd, 2018, voted to strike down a bill proposed by Candice Bergen to remove Terry Lynn McClintock from a sweat lodge and put her back into maximum security for her role in the hammer, murder, and rape of Tori Stafford. So that's kind of where we are right now. we are being judged by people whose behavior is not as good as the average firearms owner, law-abiding firearms owner. And these people are in control. We're in a democracy where parts A and B are voting to turn on part C. That's where we are.
And the way democracy is set up right now is basically can be compared to gang rape. I mean, the vast majority of people are in favor of doing a certain action. Who's going to protect the rights of that one individual person, right? And I mean, we're gotten to the point where now we're mob rule, gang rape, whatever you want to call it. And at some point, the person that's the target has to speak up.
Yeah, and it's not even a true majority. It's like a third of the population that controls 2/3 because there's a bunch of people that are just too lazy to get out and do anything about it.
Yeah, we had an instance today where someone, Tracy Wilson, tweeted that a senator came up to her during break and said that she was it vicious?
Yeah, and all she did was tweet
vicious
quotes from the people talking.
Yeah, but this is the senator herself, is known as a human rights activist. Where what is, in my opinion, she's doing her utmost to strip us of our rights. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
So super duper hot take. Well, I mean, I've got a button for that. Let me tab over to that. It'd be better if I just had my palette ready to go, but here we are. Super duper hot take. Load some ammunition.
Take helicopter flying lessons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the lines and limits are, and we should talk about that, but I would have a significant stockpile of arms and ammunitions ready, and food and water and all the other things that you would need to do to survive in the event of any sort of catastrophe, natural disaster, or other sort of civil unrest that may occur in the near future. But I'd be loading ammunition if I were listening.
Food, water, shelter, means of self-defense, or at least protect what you have, right?
Yeah, shotguns and canned beans.
Yeah, if I weren't doing the show, and not a Chinese backpack, Tim.
Oh, come on, that thing's fine. It's a high value backpack. God damn it! No, we need a bigger thing. Iron sights, night fights, canned beans, and shotguns. Good boots.
Yeah, some good, solid Canadian engineering, which
cod
is handy.
Cod pieces for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I weren't doing a podcast right now where we had, and I mean, I'm always impressed when I look at the stats. If we didn't have hundreds of people listening every week and for some reason give a shit about our opinions on things, I can't assume they're my opinions. I have to assume they're listening to somebody else on the panel. Ian, Tim.
They're probably liberals, and they tune in for me.
I mean, it could just be like 499 CSIS agents and my wife. But if we weren't doing the show, I would seriously be in my reloading room making all of the ammunition, because I don't think we're that far away from it, Todd.
Yeah.
Anyway, super dark topic to end on. Let's find out where everybody can find everyone.
Have more feedback.
Gavin. No, that's all the feedback.
The other thing?
We had a significant amount of feedback. What other thing?
Don't we have a cassette tape?
Oh, we have one more feedback. Good call.
Yeah, show notes.
Dear Patriot Soft Boys, this cassette is in response to your request for feedback on your internet radio show. By God, this country is in a right mess. I picked up a Toronto Star the other day, and I ended up reading it. Do you know why I read it? Because my budgies refused to even shit on it. And in that Toronto Star, there was an article saying that Gerald Butts stepped down as advisor to Justin Trudeau. By God, there's two fellas that look like they've never split any wood in their life. Although, if I hazard to guess, I bet they like the wood quite a bit. But I knew he was in trouble way back in '57 when Lester Pearson turned his back on Britain and used the UN to interfere in the Suez Crisis. And then later, that moron would go on to appoint one of Canada's most famous cucks, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, as Justice Minister.
Stop it.
And if that wouldn't have happened, we would never have separated from Britain in '81, and we wouldn't have that glorious Charter of Rights and Freedoms that we do nowadays. And I know what you're thinking. You're going, oh, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms are good. But you've been in this country as long as I have. You can see what you knuckleheads do with rights and freedoms. So here we are. It's 2019. We got a half-Cuban prime minister who's going, oh, I'm a feminist, and I stand for native rights. But the next thing you know, he's canning Jody Wilson-Raybould. Speaking of which, there's some tits worth elbowing. Am I right, fellas? So yeah, anyway, the country's a right damn mess. My blood pressure's up, and you fellas are acting like you don't know where to buy a good axe handle nowadays. God, I think I've had enough. I better go lay down and enjoy a Scotch mint.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Come on,
I
Earl.
love hearing from Earl.
I knew where to buy one, Earl.
Oh, there you go. There's an axe handle.
Shit. Is that a garnet axe handle?
Jesus.
That's a spare axe handle for my axes.
Look out, cake eaters.
Gonna be heading down to the Union Hall to bust some heads.
That's right. Keep everybody in line.
Well,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was I love when we get mail from Earl. It always worries me that the cassette player is not going to go today, but
Yeah.
it's always a
gonna run
pleasure
always
when it
works.
does.
buy cassettes anymore. He's got a
Shopper's
stockpile.
Drug Mart?
Yeah, maybe. He must have a stockpile.
There was a
next to
note
his
asking
Patriot.
to return it, but I mean,
Oh well, you know.
that's that was a quality bit. I approve.
Oh, look
So
at
glad
that.
we
You
get
can
meal.
still buy on Amazon. You can get a 5-pack of cassettes for like $17.99.
$17.99. Wow.
That seems expensive and yet still remarkably affordable.
Supply and demand, I guess.
That's more than a McDouble.
Yeah. Yeah. But the shelf life on those cassettes is a lot longer.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The audio quality on them
Probably
is
more.
quite nice.
Yeah.
Audio quality of McDouble is shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because the McDouble fits in the tape deck doesn't mean you should. Anyway, outro time. It's 10:30. It's almost my bedtime. I'm gonna have a Scotch mint too.
Hold the
Gavin.
mint.
Yeah, a little bit. Where can everyone find you on the internet, bud?
You can find me on Instagram, Urban Bay. Or Thursday night, if you're at the Ajax, I will be there in person. Hopefully live stream listeners out there.
Good. Ian, I've heard you also have a podcast.
I do indeed. You can find me also giving my 2 cents worth on Canadian Prepper Podcast, which is on iTunes. And also on YouTube. My YouTube channel is called The Island Retreat, and you can reach me at theislandretreat@gmail.com.
All right. Tim, where can everyone buy a t-shirt?
Oh, you can. Oh, geez, you can get those anywhere, really. But if you want a good T-shirt or one that's quite good, you can go to Tim's Good T-shirts. Facebook.com/Tim's Good T-shirts.
I do prefer the ones that are quite good. So I was actually wearing one of my Tim's Good t-shirts at the hotel gym the other day, and somebody looked at me and then left the gym. So I feel like I got my money's worth right there.
There we go. You didn't want to talk that asshole anyway.
No, it was Mississauga. I figured that they saw my clubbing seals t-shirt and they were like, "Yep, nope, good. Don't need to work out today."
That guy, yeah.
Guys, working out enough for both of us.
That is a great shirt. That's one of my favorites.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. So was he like, wait, what?
And not to undermine your business plan, Tim, but this shirt was actually free on the internet, and nothing says redneck quite like a Champion Generator T-shirt. Leave one review for the Champion Generators online. You get a free T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Does it have to be a positive review, or
if you don't have a generator?
Yeah.
Well, you could just just tell a tale, I guess. But I know they're offering free T-shirts. It's pretty nice.
Tell a tale.
T-shirt
I
and
guess
or
Earl could probably get a shirt.
Yeah, and so my daughter was utterly mortified when I was walking through the Costco with her the other day wearing this. She's like, "Dad, it just screams redneck." I'm like, "I know, right?"
That's why I'm wearing it.
It's my Costco shirt. Yeah, I'll take a skid of bacon and where do you guys keep the bulk ammo?
Not even American Costco carries bulk ammo. Can you believe that?
Yeah, what a travesty.
On ammo cans though, or vintage storage, fuck they call them.
Vintage storage. Yeah. As always, I'm Andrew. I've been your host. You should check out RagnarokTactical.ca. If you've listened this far to the program, you get a discount code. You should use the code Patriot at checkout. You'll save some money on checkout on Ragnarok Tactical. Buy some bandages, get a tourniquet, maybe take a course. It'll be fun. Who knows? And I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. I apologize to Rod every week. The rule is one Westerner at a time. If you want Ian seat, Thunderdome.
And I've got the axe handle.
I bet Rod doesn't have an axe handle, or will win.
Yeah, I have to appease.
Prove me wrong. There's only one way to do this. Yeah. Let's live stream it and get some views.
I have to appease to Cod Giltaca.
Cod piece Giltaca. That's terrible. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.